Hi everyone, it's cards.byrachel for ScrapDiva Designs, showcasing some May release products. We'll be using the 5x8 scallop nested rectangle die. And here I'm showing you that I used the biggest scalloped one and the biggest stitch layer. And every scallop has that stitching layering piece, which I absolutely love. And here we have the Postage stamp card die. And this is, I cut two of the frames and one of the base piece. It's a 2-page die, and here you can see that frame we will be using as well. We're making a card and a shaker card today, so stay tuned for the second project as well. Here I'm attaching my pattern paper onto my scallop layer. I went for the biggest size today, but the combination of these two products actually work with the three biggest scalloped in this 5x8 scallop die. So if you want less space around your postage frame, you could definitely do so as well. I just decided today I'd be wanting to use the biggest one, so to add some embellishment, I show off a bit of my pattern paper as well. Here I'm layering my pattern paper onto my white frame just to add some sturdiness, because I want it to be popped up with some foam later. So this will go like that, and then you have some nice space left. Now to create our beachy scene, because it will be a beach card, I am inking up a little beach with some sky and some ocean. So I'm just using different stencils to create my own little scene. As you can see, I stamped and colored these cute little turtles off camera, which I thought would fit very well for this beachy card. I'm an absolutely inked addict, so I like to make my own scenes using ink. You could, of course, also use a pattern paper of a beach or something if you have that, or do it with die cut border dies basically to create your sand and your sky and stuff. So lots of options again, but I just chose to use my beloved inks today. I'm also gonna splatter the sand. I'm just using my ink pad on my glass mat here, adding a little bit of water, and then with a paintbrush, I'm just gonna tap it over there. And we'll do the same for the sky and the ocean, I think. But I always love to give my cards some texture. So here we go. Here I'm just using some light blue. I think it still counts as a light blue for my ocean. And I'm trying to remember what I used for my sky color, but it's not coming to me. But we will see that in a bit. Here I just use some tape instead of a stencil. Oh yeah, we'll be using tethered rose, and yeah, we will be using saltwater taffy as well. Yeah, that's what it was. Just to create a cute little peachy pink sky, because there's also the color that will be in my pattern paper. So I thought it would be fun to bring that into the sky as well. And there we have our cute little scene, our background. I didn't do the sides of the frame because, you know, it will get covered up. So no need to make sure you don't get your ink on there or anything. Off camera, I added my white splatters as well. Here I'm just laying out my scene to see where I want my sentiment to go. And it says summer greetings, which I thought was very cute. It makes it very handy of a card to use, because you can use it for anything. Just because, you know, for saying thank you for a birthday, whatever you prefer. I'm just adding these cute little turtles on there, and that finishes up our scene for this panel. So it's time to assemble this. As you can see, I added some foam strips on the back side of my frame, and I'm just gonna attach it onto our ink blended panel there, trying to line up everything as nicely as possible, and then take off the rest of that tape that I didn't take off because the panel would not overlap there. And then we can start attaching that to our card panel. And then we are gonna try to attach that as straight as possible, because that's sometimes an issue for me, but it worked out quite alright this time, luckily. And here you can see the one I made off camera that I also shared in our product haul. I did the landscape orientation here, and here we did that shaker one, which we'll be doing today. I got two of the base pieces, my frame out of some pattern paper, and 3 times out of white, because I wanted some extra sturdiness to that panel. So here I glued all those 3 white ones together, And we'll be using foam strips around our shaker window. Be sure there are no holes in your tape, because then the shaker pieces will go out, of course. So make sure everything touches each other and there's no gaps for them to escape to. Our first card we will be embellishing a little bit more by the end of the video as well. I just hadn't have everything prepared because I found it a little bit too empty, so you know, I decided to first go on with this card and then finish the decorating last. Here I'm peeling off some of my double-sided tape that I did around the frame of my pattern paper one, and I cut some acetate into the right size. I used a marker to actually put some lines there of what size it would need to be. And then I'm using some StazOn ink for my Sentiment Your Foxtastic. I'm using StazOn, and you really need a solvent ink to be able to stamp onto your acetate, and other ink will not dry, so be sure to use a solvent one. Here I cut a grassy piece out of that postage stamp die as well. And I just used a grassy border on the top to give it a nice grass border that will fit nicely onto our frame there. And I did the same for the sand, and I think this is my favorite card that I made with these two new dies actually. So yeah, here I'm using that base piece on the back here of our frame to have our shaker be closed off, obviously. There we go. And then off camera I also inked up one of those base panels with a cloudy blue sky, I believe. I just used the blue. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I just used the blue. So we can have the sky coming through our acetate. As you can see here, there it is. I'm gonna attach that as well. Just making sure all those postage edges, I don't know how to call it, postage edges, line up neatly with each other, and just make sure it's nice and secure with my bone folder there. And then of course we will need to add our frame as well for our height to be able to shake our shaker bits actually, and this will go at the top. How cute, right? So now think I start with decorating my front panel first, because now it's still laying nice and flat. So I always find it more easy to do it when it's nice and flat, when I remember to. Sometimes I don't remember, but hey, this time we did. I just used two or three stamp sets for my stash, stamped color them and fussy cut them out. And yeah, I have a weakness for foxes, so you know, this is definitely my favorite. Here I'm using some anti-static powder around the edges to get rid of the last stickiness, and then of course peel over double-sided tape that I adhered here, and we'll also be using some glue, and of course fill up our shaker. Here I'm using some sea beads, and I'm using some, well, a green mix that I have, which was still closed. You can see me struggling to get it open, but there was actually like some paper around the side, so yeah. Here I finally got it open, and I'm just filling up our shaker. And of course I spilled some on my double-sided tape, but was easily solvable. And here I just used some iridescent white ones as well. And then of course add a little bit of glue, not too much, because we don't want it seeping onto our acetate, but I do like to use double adhesive on making shakers. And then it's time to put our cute frame at the front. And like I said, this is my favorite one. It might be because of the foxes or the colors, I don't know. I'm very happy with this one. I like my other ones as well, don't get me wrong, but yeah, definitely my favorite. Here I thought it would be fun to actually make like a cute little bow on the sides there, to actually do something with those holes that the die creates. So I just used like this pretty white ribbon that I had in my stash and just tied a knot, and then I cut off a little bit of the excess, I believe, but yeah. Yep, there we go. I thought it was a very nice touch. And then I also pulled in my edge flower die from ScrapDiva, which is definitely turning into one of my favorites. You will be seeing it a lot this month. Also for my treat box and stuff. I just love adding these flowers as embellishments, which I did in my product share video on the 2 cards with this set I made off camera as well. And I just think that makes it look, that just makes it extra adorable to add some of those embellishments. Like, there we go. That is our card. Then this is the shaker I made off camera. And of course that one. The decorating of this card I did cut out of the video because it was a pretty long video, and I'm using the edge flower and some embellishment from the paper collection, so you can see it on the pictures and on the little video I did there. I'll be sure to list all the products below in the description box and in the comments. So be sure to check out scrapdivadesigns.com. Thanks for watching everyone, and I wish you all a very crafty day. Bye bye.